Efendim yine karşınızdayım.
Now, dear friends, I am here again, and then I'm a little bit, let's say, ashamed a little bit because while thanking our sponsors, sorry, I did not mention Doğal Kimya as our sponsors, no, but Doğal Kimya is now the sponsor of this session, and and Doha Chemistry is making the session, sponsoring the session. Sorry for omitting at the first time, and thanks again. Now we had our lunch and we gave a small break, and now we have the energy, and we continue with the third panel. As you know, the yield in production is very important, is one of the very important points, and we are going to speak about the feeding and protecting, and then we will deal with the productive walnuts growing. Now we are kindly inviting the panelists, Mr. Federico Lopez, Professor Dr. Mehmet Ömer, and Mr. Haşim Can Yazıcıoğlu and Mr. Murat Türkmenoğlu to the floor for this session. So we have 45 minutes time for this session. Now I'm leaving the floor to our friends, and while our guest is making their preparations, I would like to thank all of you for your interest also into second part. Of course, there was this kind of thinking, but I'm wrong when I'm so happy for being wrong. Of course, in the first half of the day, our guests gave us so much information, and it has been 1 o'clock, or then we went to the lunch. Then afterwards, after the session, I was thinking that this kind of technical issue would be boring, and I thought if so many people would be here, but I was wrong. We have so many people here, thanks to the Walnut Growers Association and to the participants, and they for giving us the opportunity to speak about all of the solutions. We have press members and national and international press members, and hopefully they will announce the results of this conference everywhere. Another thing is that this is the first edition of this Walnut International Walnut Conference, and then also I believe that our association will be very successful, of course. Now, but we now are we now we I will have to leave. I had to be in these two sessions, and the second part will be done. Journalist Mine Ataman, and we have been late, but now we start immediately, and we will have 45 minutes. It can be boring because we will speaking about feeding and protecting the plants, but starting from the early times in the morning, all the speakers they said us very key word. They said, okay, production figures, sales, and non-registered states, but they the key word was productivity during all these talks in the morning. And if this is the key, we have two basic arguments for using that key, and is feeding and protecting the plant. And now Ms. Mine announced them beforehand, but I want to also repeat, and also the Agro TV's social accounts. All this panel is being given live, and my plan was that not to give only 10 minutes to the speakers, but I thought to give 3 minutes to each of them. But because of the preparations, I had to return to the normal program. I'm a journalist. I will not let them free for 10 minutes. Sometimes I'm going to make questions them. Now I'm going to give the first word to Mr. Federico Lopez, and he's going to speak about the right feeding and protecting of walnut. And now, now starting with the feeding, what is the right products, use of the right products for plant feeding? What kind of aspects should we take into consideration? So I would like to take your experiences on this issue. What kind of things we have to take care of?
First of all, thank you, the organization, for the invitation to have the opportunity to be here. It's a very big pleasure for me. Okay, I would like to change a little bit your question, if I may, because I don't really like to talk about fertilization, but about nutrition. I think it's a different concept, and nutrition, it's a little bit more wide and deep concept that it take into consideration not only the use of fertilizers, but the study of the soil, okay, the soil situation. In general, I think the first thing to do today morning, some people was talking about planting on good soil or planting on bad soil. It's not so clear what is a good soil and what is not a good soil for walnuts. According to my experience, the physical properties of a soil, including soil structure, texture, infiltration capacity, cross formation, organic matter, are much more important than the chemical properties of the soil. So the first thing I think to be considered when you are talking about nutrition is the soil characterization. And this is mainly what we try to do when we are approaching to a new project. So we first try to characterize the soil, the physical and chemical properties of the soil. We try to predict how the water is going to move into the soil profile, and how the fertility of the soil, that is a complicated term, but everybody understands what is fertility. It is summarized on many different aspects, but in general, we know more or less what is fertility. And fertility is a little bit of everything. So when we are planning to do nutrition, nutrition will be depending on the soil. And depending on the soil and the contribution that you had to do for the production you are expecting, for the chemical characteristic of the soils, are the main question to be considered before deciding what to do and how to do. Another aspect that I think is very important is the particularity of the walnuts, because walnut is a very big tree. It explores a very large portion of the soil. The roots are not as deep as the people used to think, and the roots are also much more weaker than the people think. So if you compare how much a walnut tree is growing in a hard soil, and you compare how an almond tree is growing in the same soil, you will see how different is the distribution of the roots. In general, almost every kind of rootstock or every kind of root used for walnut production is performing not as deeply, is not growing as much deeply as the almond tree. So considering the particularities of the growing habits of the walnut tree, the soil fertility and characterization, and also the kind of orchard that you want to do. So it's different. I think now we have the possibility to do like very much adapted kind of orchard to the particular situation, the particular demand of the grower. So some people are interested in planting and producing soon for a very short period of time. This is a little bit the Chilean model. So to produce 140, 150 tons in a shortest as possible period of time, and obviously the treatment on this orchard is completely different. Or if your intention is to be producing not in a very short period of time, basically the same amount of production, but through a longer period of time. It's very different, the way to treat the orchard in both cases. So basically characterization and fertility.
Bu saydığınız önlemler aslında
So these precautions, so of course, in other countries that you give consultancy, also in Turkey, can we think that these are some mistakes done in Turkey and in all around the world? You can say that I have seen them frequently, and these are being done also. These mistakes are being done also in Turkey.
Well, I think one of the particularities of the orchard walnut production is the use of forestry soils. Most of the orchards we are working with are planted in forestry soils, not planted on a beautiful quality agricultural typical soil. So this is, I think, one characteristic of Turkey. If you go to Chile, well, Chile is a little bit different. If you go to Argentina, or if you go to California, or to Italy, north of Italy basically, soils are flat, very fertile, very deep. This is not the case in Turkey. So Turkey, because of the kind of soils, most of the orchards that we know are planted in shallow soils, very much stratified soils, slopey areas, and in general, people don't prepare the planting operation enough. So it's very common that the people move the soil superficially and they just plant. And the irrigation system is, in general, not sufficient. The soil preparation is not sufficient. As today morning, Zeynep was talking about the importance of the organic matter content. In Turkey, it's even more important than the organic matter reports than in Italy or in California. Soils are better and higher in organic matter content. In Turkey, I will say the most common mistake is the lack of soil preparation or improper soil preparation, since the walnut explore a very deep part of the soil profile. And also, in general, if you ask me in particular about nutrition or fertilizers, I don't think, in general, commonly, the best sources of fertilizers are used everywhere. So in some areas, people like to use urea, some other people are using ammonium nitrate, but not very much paying attention to the best sources of nitrogen that you can use depending on the soil structure, the precipitation, annual precipitation, rainfall, the slopes, and etc. So I think it's a very common mistake. It's typical from Turkey. I think it's typical from areas where soils in general are not very deep and a little bit, let's say, marginal.
çok teşekkür ediyoruz. Çok sağ olunuz. Şimdi
Thank you very much. Now, of course, in this section, it's good to make this kind of question. Dear Chairman also mentioned about that, if I understood well. In Turkey especially, zero chemical production, domestic production is being made in Turkey. And for this reason, regarding the plant protection products and walnut, I think that they should not come together, but there are also pests and some diseases. But in Turkey, in the world, what kind of plant protection products are being used, and what are the mistakes that we are doing regarding all these products? Can you tell something about that?
Basically, in Turkey, we find the same problems we find everywhere. There are some, okay, Garela, Asian moth, is almost non-existent in Europe, and it's a big problem in Turkey, but I think it's the only one exception. In general, we see the same everywhere. I'm talking about different hemispheres, different countries, different continents. In Turkey, I will say the main problem is diseases control and some of the pest control. Mistakes, well, in general, as I was talking before, walnut is a very big tree, and a very big tree needs to be treated very carefully, and especially if you are trying to protect the trees against the most common problem, disease that is blight. You need to protect almost everything. You need to cover, to wet every part of the tree. So if you are covering an apple tree, 3 meters, 3.5 meters tall, it's not very difficult. But if you are trying to wet a 6, 7, 8, 9 meters tall, it's very difficult. So you need to have a very good equipment. You need to have a very good nozzle distributions for covering, protecting properly the tissue. So in general, the slopes of most of the orchards in Turkey doesn't allow the owners to use bigger equipment. So the automizers, the spray machines are small, and they cannot, in most of the cases, cover 100% of the tree canopy. This is a common mistake. Second, improper use of the tools, the phytosanitary tools that are appropriated for every place. So in Turkey, when we talk about Turkey, we are talking about trachea, we are talking about Adiyaman, we are talking about Manisa. So they are completely different environments. In trachea, during flowering time, it's raining a lot. And as you know, the combination of high humidity, water on the leaves, water on the tissues, plus high or mild temperatures is the perfect environment for the development of basically bacterial diseases. So, but if you go to Adiyaman, in Adiyaman, you probably don't need a third of the number of applications that you need in trachea. But it's very common to be following everywhere the same recipe. So not to be adapted to the conditions. In trachea, the tissues must be protected during a longer period of time because the risk is higher and the conditions are more aggressive. But in Adiyaman, you don't need to do as many. So this is, I think, another problem.
Burada tabii yerel bilginin de önemi son.
Of course, the local knowledge is very important. In this case, we understand, but there can be a common recipe, but the right scientific information must be conveyed to the producers at local level. You have emphasized this. Thanks for that. Now we will speak about the technology in the second part. Now we have a very important Professor Dr. Mehmet Sütyemez, and he is making a presentation. And now there's a time limitation, and for this reason he shortened his presentation, and also then soil preparation, soil selection, and at the final phases, stages. And we wanted from him to give some basic messages about all these topics. Thanks, you welcome all. And the word has come out from the Third World War. After the COVID, now I'm for the first time in an international meeting. I hope that the God would protect all the humanity from this kind of wars. And I'm so happy to be here with you, with walnut lovers. But I have prepared the presentation, but since we have 10 minutes, I had to make it short. Sometimes there can be some problems, but sorry for that. Don't worry about that. Of course, we have threats, results, and some precautions and solutions. Problems regarding the climate change, but regarding the also we can have some problems regarding the fertilization biology. There can be some problems during this kind of situations, and also early autumn situation can happen. There can be some problems regarding the biological pollination, and then also as Mr. Federico indicated about the diseases and pests, and some diseases because of the climate shift. There can be some problems about the fungal diseases. In Turkey now we started to see this kind of fungal diseases in many regions of Turkey, and then this is a problem that is very problematic for us. We have to take some precautions against that, some measures. But I want to also emphasize another item at the lowest point. So, unfortunately, any people be reading some articles about Walnut or seeing a documentary about Walnut, they say that they are a Walnut consultant. This is maybe not a big threat, but I think this lowers the general quality. I'm the professor, but sometimes I'm so careful while talking about some issues, but all the people are shooting our presentations, and they are sharing them. And sorry, dear professors, can you give us some examples about that? So we have the Altay Walnut genotype. I want to give some examples of genotype. So the Altay has been grown in Himalaya mountains, and then the smallest of the Himalayan mountains is 3,000 meters, and these are the examples coming from there, and there are some visibility reports. For example, 4 years old gives 40 kilograms of yield, and 8 years of tree is yielding 150 kilos. They make this kind of announcements, and this is something wrong. So it is not possible to have this kind of yield from an 8 years old tree. And another problem that I can speak about is the sunburnt. In final 5 years, we are also preparing some master thesis. For example, Chandler, this sunburn can be seen on the screen on Chandler products. Of course, it has effect on quality, but with increasing temperatures, the sunburns can happen in the future. And I wanted to also emphasize this situation. Other diseases that can happen, this kind of problems that happens, and we see this kind of problematic diseases in gender gardens and orchards, and Turkey is under threat, and we have to take precautions and measures from now on. Also in the morning session, also production, consumption, and healthy generations. Why not? As Ali Riza indicated, the milk is very expensive. So why don't we give to each student in the elementary school one walnut per day. So that we have 12 millions of students in the elementary schools, and so it means daily 12 tons of walnut per day, and then it can trigger the production and the consumption, giving this kind of free of charge walnut to the elementary school students. Also, I have seen that in our resources, in the bibliography, we see that in Anatolia, the walnut is grown since 2,500 years. So also, but in America, it is only a past of 150 years. But USA started to the selection in the beginning of the 1950s, and they are now improving their products, and now we have the gender product. But unfortunately, we did not make any kind of improvement in the plants, and then we did not tame and improve these products. We don't have this kind of programs, because everything that we are speaking here is based on improving and taming the plants. So if you have a resistance product, you can also control the cost. For this reason, the improvement of the plant is a fundamental thing, and also the improvement of the type is also a basic thing, is an issue for the future, and the societies who doesn't have this kind of plant improvements programs, they can have big problems in the future. And for this reason, we have to improve this kind of plant breeding activities. And when I started to work in my university in Kahramanmaraş, I tried to create an infrastructure in the first 10 years, and then we wanted to create some types and genotypes which are resistant to different conditions on biotic basis. Of course, the team is very important. If you have a good team, you can have a success. It is not possible to have an individual success. You have to have a team. Of course, the plant breeding is a program. It is not an academic article or a program, but it's a program based on 10 or 20 or 30 or 40 years. Also, Mr. Federico knows. Federico's started some plant breeding in Americas 100 years ago, and now this kind of programs, the improvement of the plants, the breeding of these plants takes 100 years. For this reason, this country has to have this kind of program, and there is no alternative to that. We have to have this kind of program. What do we control? The upon criteria, the delayed growing of the products, the foliation station, and then other improvement works. And then regarding the fruit, the internal productivity is taken into consideration, and the ratio and the full extraction of the inside fruit, also the inside color, are also very important particularities of the product. And so we started this kind of plant breeding in 90s. Until now, we have registered the 22 breeds and then I hope that this will take parts in the international arena. Dear Professor, thanks for giving all these names, because all the names are in foreign language, but here we have Turkish words, and I just interrupted only for this. And this Marash 18 is a type that we have made the breeding with the selection, and it's a very good type of product, and it has a very highly priced product. And also we have Süt Temel, the one type. This is the biggest walnut of walnut in the market. Of course, the quality, and if the walnut is big or not will be very important, and this quality will enable to the sale of the product. But I made this title not as something which is fashionable, but this is a very important thing, and this is a hope for the future, for the world walnut activities and for the walnut in Turkey. And this is the resurrection, is a resurrection type. But in Turkey the plant breeders are alone, but we have TÜBİTAK, the state research agency, and with the TÜBİTAK agency helped us, but we need more support for the plant breeding. And then the examples that I'm going to give, dear walnut lovers, is I'm going to make two comparisons which are very similar. We have the Drillish and the Chandler. So to say, in order to say that my type is better, you have to compare it with the best one. Chandler is the best one today. If we have this kind of power, we have to do it better. And if we have this kind of claim, we can do it better.
Yes, when you take a look, I compare it to Marash 18 also. So take a look at the first leaving. It's 1 to 3 days later than Chandler, depends on year, but on average it leaves 2 to 3 days later than Chandler. And most important property in blue is harvest time. One of the biggest complaint is harvest time is late for Chandler. So as you can see, Drillish can be harvested 18 to 21 days. Even 2 days are important, but it's almost 3 weeks earlier. And to the yield, if you look at the yield, it's early harvest, okay, but the yield we dried and sampled just on our way here. Chandler wasn't harvested yet, so I cannot give numbers for Chandler, but for the past year we have received almost 9.5 kilograms per tree from Chandler, but from Drillish we have obtained 2, 3, 4 kilograms more than Chandler. Can we wrap up slowly, Professor, please? Excuse me. I showed leaving and harvesting time. I talked about harvesting time and fruit properties. You can see, I don't have to say anything. The ratio of the internals, the weight of the fruit, all the properties are better than Chandler, you can see on the table, and this is a really important property of this breed. And this is the picture of the fruit. You might say, Professor Mehmet, does it have anything worse than Chandler? Yes, because Chandler is the most lightly colored walnut. So the only negative side is darker coloration. So we talked about sunburns just now. If you want to do breed improvement, you have to know the environment and climate. I said sunburn is coming to this country, so what is the best precaution? You have to have thick green shell, and we started it. We are ready for hybridization improvements because solution should be in breed improvement in order to decrease costs and other expenses. And I would like to also say, if you want to become a brand, dear Walnut friends, Turkey's improvement program, we have to determine this strategy. We have to have a brand, and we have to please not only public institutions and universities, please support the improvers of Turkey, breed improvers of Turkey. And my final word is this: in other countries, improvers in agriculture, in other countries they are called golden boys. Mr. Federico might know they are really important. Maybe we are not golden boys in Turkey, but we should at least be silver boys. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Dear Professor, for this wonderful presentation. So my colleagues from the desk, I would like to inform them we had Arfcan Yazıcıoğlu. They are reassigned as the final speaker with their permission. Doğa Kimyas member of board of directors Murat Türkmenoğlu will take the microphone. First of all, we would like to get to know the company. You are the companies in private sector. Their short history is also an indication of the entire sector in a way. So Mr. Lopez said and Professor said the problems that are seen in the field and suggested solutions are really important, and a very experienced person such as yourself and a serious audience. So I think your speech will be really important. Thank you very much. My name is Murat Türkmenoğlu. I am a member of the board of Doğal Chemicals Company. First of all, I would like to thank the Walnut Growers Association. We have received really important information from really valuable guests, especially climate change that was emphasized in the second panel. This will change the business we do from now on, and this will change the plant protection struggle. This will change our production. We will reposition ourselves accordingly, all of us. First of all, yes, walnut is a really valuable product. Its value is now, we measure it by market value. It's $4 billion export volume around the world. $2.6 million export volume. So in monetary market, this is the monetary side of the things. This is the market side of the things. But as Professor Mehmet said, Federico said, there is the growing side, production side, and this is a very, very important side. We are aware of that as a company, and here there are many inputs to this production. Two of these inputs, due to the climate change, we focus on these two inputs. But if these inputs are not provided, it can cause 20-30% loss in yield. One is plant protection, the other is fertilizers. In EU, there's a transformation, there's a change, and we are lucky in a way. I would like to refer to the second panel. Yes, in Turkey, especially when it comes to plant protection industry, we keep up with EU really closely. We have to, because our regulations are harmonized with EU, and our regulation transfers every change in EU directly to us. So if chemical is banned in EU, it will be banned in a couple of months in Turkey. We keep up so closely. So with that said, I would like to introduce Doğal company. We are a group. There are three brands. One is Agrotez, one is Doğal, and the other is Hilex. Doğal and Agrotez produce agricultural chemicals, and Hilex produce pop candy, patented pop candy that is exported to 60 countries. So the story of Doğal starts in 1989. In 1989, it was founded and it started exporting, and in 1995, the first factory is established in Istanbul, and in 1996 it's moved to Antalya. Now in Antalya we have 10,000 metric tons production capacity factory, and we can manufacture almost all formulations that are registered in Turkey. And the factory is on 5,000 square meters. And the story started with 2 people. It continues with 400 people. The factory is in Antalya organized industrial zone. As you can see, we can produce almost all formulations right now. We have around 98 employees in the factory, engineers, chemical engineers, agricultural engineers. Our goal is to provide formulations that are on par with European quality and present them to the domestic market, to the market. Formulation is really important because it's not enough to bring the active ingredient alone. You have to have a good R&D laboratory, and you should be researching, investigating new combinations all the time, and you have to keep up with the developments around the world, and you have to invest to this. Today, in our R&D and quality control laboratories, we have 15 employees, and our goal is to provide new solutions, especially given the new Green Deal. We want to create solutions that are more in harmony with the nature. This is among our short-term goals. So we manufacture these, and we have to seriously market what we produce, of course. Cem Rodosu said something really nice today. You have to expose people now. Marketing is changing all around the world, and to expose people, you have to have a good team. Our team, we have sales and marketing team, and marketing team contact you regularly to introduce our products and find solutions together. And I think we are successful in that regard. In Turkey, in 7 regions, we have an organization. There are 177 people, and 64 employees are working on the field. Of course, this Green Deal given that Green Deal, you have to renew yourself, and we renewed ourselves, and we invested in organomineral fertilizer, and soon with a foreign partnership we will move on to microbial fertilizer production. Now our topic is walnut. Yes, our esteemed colleagues, friends, authorities talked about walnut. Yes, in walnut, besides pests, our common shared point is integrated struggle. Starts with the soil, it goes on with the harvest and post-harvest. If you only focus on plant protection, you are wrong, we are wrong. Therefore, the soil values, nutritious values, it's where it starts. And it goes on with breed improvement and pruning, and it's a broad perspective. And we want to emphasize products that is suitable to integrated fight, and that is in line with EU regulations. I would like to talk about two products. Walnut anthracnose and walnut bacterial burn. These are problems in our country, and all of this starts due to the residue in our soil from previous years. Walnut anthracnose, the main factor is fungus, and the other one is due to bacteria. Both of these come from residues from the previous year in the soil. If we do not take care of these residues, this means we will have serious players to fight against in the next season. Walnut anthracnose moves on to the plant via its bud, and it disrupts market value of the walnut. It damages the walnut, and some of the gardens they lose up to 50% of product. It's a really serious disease if you do not take care of it. And bacterial burn it again starts from the soil. In autumn, when the leaves fall, maybe Federico will not approve me, but in Turkey we frequently see that the leaves, where the leaves fall, the bacteria enters for the next session. From the places where the leaves fall and from the cancerous cells, the bacterium settles and penetrates through the stoma, through the plant openings, and this causes serious problems, and it can cause up to 30-40% loss in yield if you do not intervene to this disease. I agree, climate change is very fast. Our ministry has certain pesticide application periods, but this is also affected by climate change, because I was talking to my colleague just now. In August, normally in ministry's program, they do not have walnut anthracnose medicine application, but we can see different ecosystems, and my friend said they used anthracnose 3 times between July to August. And I would like to say something. We can suggest for these two diseases, the general idea is to use copper. There are copper oxides, etc. Most of them are blue colored. The one that we recommend right now, and on many of our stands, I talked to many producers on our stands, growers on our stands. I am really happy. 80% of them used it, and they are satisfied. Nordox is a copper oxide formula from Norway. They have been producing copper for 35 years, more or less, and they are experts on copper. And the effectiveness of copper on fungus and bacteria is dependent on particle size of the copper and the way it surrounds the plant. So particle size is really important with copper. In Nordox, it is 1.3 microns. Other hydroxide or other copper oxide are higher. So Nordox provides a good coating, and if you provide good coating, it's difficult to wash it off via moisture or rain. And Nordox has another different property. copper hydroxyl is dissolved very quickly. Nordox is dissolved slowly due to its structure, and this expands its effective time period. Can you please wrap up? Yes, then I will quickly talk about something. It's really important. Mehmet Bey mentioned it, and sunburn will be a serious problem due to climate change, and we have to focus on it. They gave an example. They said we see this even in Chandler. He says even because side branches, there are many side branches, and hides the product. So the product shouldn't be affected by sun. But sun has two different harmful rays. One is ultraviolet, the other is infrared. Ultraviolet causes the burns you can directly see on the shell. Infrared increases the internal temperature. Now, Mehmet Bey talked about density of the infrared light. We damage the ozone, and we will be subjected to these rays not only in Walnut but in all products. But all we can do is to fight against this using the right products. And we have two different formulations based on calcium. They are easy to use. They can be mixed with water very quickly and applied. The philosophy is that we cover the plant wholly and to reflect the incoming rays, and it doesn't close stoma and continues chlorophyll synthesis. It's a nice product. Nordox and Sunstock, they both can be used in organic agriculture. And let me give another example. Calcium-based protection, we are not the only one doing that. In the United States, Bill Gates is also working on this. How? Between atmosphere and stratosphere, they built special planes. They apply calcium spray because calcium reflects those spectra. In our product, ease of use, ease of application, I can recommend these products. And we can recommend this to our farmers. Thank you very much, sir. In fact, comprehensively you talked about diseases and precautions, and also you talked about what your company has done until now. It has been a great summary. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Haşim Yazıcıoğlu is one of our hosts, we can say, and he is partner of Avrupa Tarım, and he said I am also the speaker in second panel, and he said you can take away from my time, and so if it's okay for you, when it comes to planning, when establishing a walnut garden, when you are first investing, 5 minutes, and then I will leave you to my colleague Mine Attan, and you will continue. Okay, thank you. I do not have presentations, and I have seen all the guests. I saw that they are prepared. They have been prepared really well. So I was holding this to seem like I have a presentation. So we tried to get ready for this organization. We worked for this organization, but while working on our organization, I didn't have much time to prepare for the panel. Thank you very much. Here's Federico and agricultural engineers, so I cannot go into technical details among all these experts, but I can talk about an experience. You asked about planning. Now, our field is in 3,000 acres in Edirne, and we are trying to manage that area. The most frequent question is, why Edirne? Are you from Edirne? No, we are from Rize. We do not have any relation with Edirne, but I will come back to that. While planning, I divide planning into two different parts: before planting and after planting. While doing planning before planting, everyone looks at water availability. It's really important, especially these days. Soil analysis, it's really important. choice of breed, choice of rootstock, climate conditions, etc. But I put all these aside. Years ago, I asked my uncle, and the answer was interesting. I asked him, why are we doing this in Edirne? And he said, we have to go to this field 20-25 times a year. So I put the compass on the map, drove a circle, looked inside that circle, and chose like that. This is foresight, and believe me, we visited many gardens in many countries, many facilities, and to do your job correctly, you do not have to rediscover America. So we try to find out the best practices for Turkey, and one of the things we have seen was this. Of course, experts. I'm not talking about experts here, but investors are more successful in agriculture. Invest if they spend time there a lot. Do we know better? No way. But solving the problems of the professionals there is our job. If we invest on 100 units, we are all investors. We want to profit. But if you need to make a new investment, if you need new investment, if there are two options, the good option is the one that will save not today but tomorrow. So we have to get to know our fields. We have to understand those, and it's really important in my opinion. So I'm a member of the association, so I will just end here. Thank you very much to all guests. I would like to thank you for your interest from the beginning. So the floor is yours. Thank you, Umut Bey, and our panelists. Our third panel's second part, we will talk about technology, but let's have a 15-minute coffee break, then we will continue.
kid. Well, it hurt me so bad inside that day. Was much more than I could bear. You said, baby, don't you worry. I'll be back someday, and I'll be standing right here, just waiting on your return. And I'll be standing
kahve aramızın ardından biraz soluklan.
Now, dear participants, now we continue after our cover break. The second part of our third panel. And the title of this panel is technology. Of course, the developing technology is being integrated to agriculture and also productive walnut growing, and advanced technology can be integrated together. This will be the title of our panel, and we are kindly inviting the journalist Miss Mine Ataman, and then we are kindly inviting Federico Lopez, Hakkı, QTBI, and Haşim Can Yazıcıoğlu to the floor. So I want to remind you that we have 45 minutes, and now I'm leaving the floor to Miss Mine. So, the name of Umut is also indicated here, and I hope that. So, Umut had to leave early because of his flight. Hopefully, I can carry his heritage here, and we continue to understand the walnut and to talk about the walnut. And in the morning, the people are spoke about the walnut tree, and we are trying to understand what the walnut tree feels. And the walnut tree is a tree which is the subject of myths. And Yaşar Kemal tells that the walnut tree is very valuable, but you should not sleep under the walnut tree. And in the first part, together with Umut, and also we have the previous guests in the panel, and now we have two new guests, and we are going to speak about the technology in walnut growing. It is very important because the human being is alive in this planet since 200,000, and there are 400,000 types of plants in the world, but only 17,000 of them are being cultivated, and only and the plants, only the 20 plants are taking place as 80% of our nutrition, and the new trends may cause that we cannot ensure the agricultural products in the next 20 years because the climate crisis is very confused. Even the mathematics cannot explain us the climate crisis sometimes. For this reason, in Turkey, we need to apply this science technology upon our traditional knowledge of agriculture and our archaic knowledge of agriculture. And you are, as a walnut grower, you are working 365 days in outdoor area, and you have to perform well. You have to survive by doing this job very well. And we will try to understand if the technology can protect us or not. Now, question to Federico. So you mentioned about the protection, but in the second part, in order to increase the productivity, the yield in walnut, which technologies can be used? What can we do for increasing the yield through technology? If you can summarize it in 10 minutes, we would be very glad about it.
Yeah, I will try. I think the main or the best use we can give to the technology in the agricultural business is the information that we can get through the technology. If you ask me in particular what are we applying, what is the sector applying all over the world, everything is basically tools that are giving us information about what the tree is doing, about how the humidity is in the soil, how the tree is growing, how is the hydric situation in the tree. So basically, the technology applied to the information and applied to to obtain information changed in the last 20 years. So, but basically is technology that helps us to understand what the tree is doing. So right now, on how the technology changed, so I think like 20, 30 years ago, the use of moisture sensor, soil moisture sensor changed the way we were irrigating. The sap analysis, leaf analysis started giving us information for taking decisions about how to change the nutrition, how to change the phenology, how to change the physiology if we could. Basically, the technology applied in agricultural now is giving us information, but we are obtaining this information in a little bit different way. For example, so now probably the most useful information that we have is the vegetation index like NDVI, normalized vegetation differentiated index, or PRI, that is a photosynthetic radiation index. So our index numbers calculated by a simple formula that basically consider the light that is coming from the sun and being reflected on the leaves and coming back to the specific kind of camera, multi-spectral camera, that is able to be checking different spectrums of the light. So, for example, now, in particular, my company, we have a license for the satellites imaging from all over the world. I think we can take like 10 images per day from wherever you want to take the satellite imaging. So with this, basically is NDVI, normalized differentiated vegetation index. And what you can get with this is how good the tree is growing, basically. So the information after processed gives you different colors that are related with different levels of growth, and also with addition of the thermal images obtained by thermal cameras, you can improve the irrigation very much. You can determine if even, for example, a severe attack of aphids or a mite attack can be determined very early with the use of vegetation index. So I think this is, in my opinion, right now the most useful information in agriculture. And I think I don't think there is something technologically advanced that can be as useful as the vegetation index. In general, the use of multi-spectrum cameras. So very shortly.
Ben şunu anlıyorum.
I understand that. So you have read the Little Prince, no? In the Little Prince meets meets the fox, and the Little Prince doesn't want to become a friend, and he does not want to create a connection with the fox. But we have placed plants and animals into a cultivation, but we are not acting as their parents. But right now, we have to be responsible against those plants 365 days, and we have to monitor them, track them 365 days, and we have to give nutrition them and feed them. It must be like this, just like parenting, just become a parent for the plants.
Second by second what the tree is doing and having objective information. As probably everybody noticed when you are working in a walnut orchard, in particular walnut orchard because trees are very big. So one day you are working and depending on the sun position, depending on the temperature, you can get the impression that the trees are suffering or the trees are enjoying. So I'm working with walnut for almost 40 years, and I'm doing basically the same. And to me, it happens so frequently. So I'm a little bit confused. This is too much water, this is too less water. Is this the color okay, or is too light, or is too dark? So the use of objective ways of getting information, it's a enormous help, and it is very useful.
Federico'ya teşekkür ediyorum.
We would like to thank to Federico in this section with the we are going to speak about the yield and the quality and the technology. We continue with the technology, and then the 70% of the usable water in the world is being used for the agriculture, and then Turkey doesn't have so much water, and the simulations are telling us that we are going to experience water stress in 20 or 30 years. If you don't manage your water in agriculture, which is the article in Times, it means that your country has a security problem. At this point now, I want to speak with Gökçe Bilya from Toprak Agriculture. So this water which is not existing in the agriculture, how can we manage the water through technology in order to become much more competitive? My name is Gökçe Bilya. Before answering your question, I want to speak about one of my story. And I have worked as a farmer for some years, and I've been in the field and getting so much information from the field and coordinating the information and data. I had some problems. Agriculture technologies are expensive, and in 2019 we started our company Toprak, and the main purpose of our company is to gather this information and to give meaning to them, analyze those information, and then make some decisions on behalf of the farmers. And then, but we believe that the agriculture is very related with mathematics. The agriculture can be explained by some formula. If we can measure those data, if we can get those information from the field with the AI and the machine learning, and if we can put together all this data and we can reach to results that cannot be seen by the normal human brain, and the right use of the water resources, and we started to think how we can water a tree in the right time, in the right place. So we have also manufactured some sensors, as Mr. Federico said, under the soil. So some sensors under the soil are placed in order to understand the heat and the moisture, and we try to understand how the water is diffused inside the soil, and then we have indicated we have made some pressure chambers and we have defined some thresholds, and we started to integrate them. We understand, we think that everything has a pattern, is a mathematical formula. So if you give 3 hours water to a walnut tree, we need to see what is under the soil. This can be, this water can go down vertically, as Federico mentioned, or it can be sandy, or it can be clay. And if it is clay, the water can be diffused well. But if we don't understand all this, we cannot perform well. And for this reason, we have these services. We have over 7,000 sensors in Turkey. We are working together with many walnut growers. We are learning many things from Mr. Hashimjan. I did not meet before Mr. Federico, but I know that I can learn many things from Federico. I watch every video of him. But what is important is to put together all this information. The AI is coming, machine learning is coming. Somebody is afraid of that, but the data is everything for us. Yesterday I made 4 hours of watering, but what was the influence? You got the pressure chamber measuring, and the question, if I could do it in 2 hours, is under the soil. So to make understandable this agricultural data, we are working 24/7. So of course you are trying to use in a much more ideal way this water, and you need to know the plant and the soil, and you are giving a lifeblood to this soil, and you have now do you have some technologies? What kind of technologies about saving water or agriculture without water? As Mr. Federico indicated, there are satellites and as data resource, and there are multispectral cameras, as Mr. Federico indicated, and then drones we have. Then we have sensors and direct data that we are getting from the field. There are some software. So if you put all this together, the technology is making very fast advances. 15 years ago, none of us we knew what is WhatsApp, what is Instagram, and my father is 77 years old, and he is connecting with his grandsons through Telegram, and he is making some video calls. He is 77 years old, and this means that the technology is everywhere. And for this reason, we have to give meaning all this data. It will not solve everything. It cannot solve everything in one night. But as we gather data, we become we become smarter, and we change our ways of doing business. For example, a farmer who is using our system, so they can see if I can lower this watering to 80 hours, and also they can see the active root level of when they give fertilizer. So let's think about the farm. Let's think about Avrupa agriculture. After 5 years, 10 years after, as Mr. Federico indicated, where multispectral cameras getting indexes, where there are drones. With small sensors, we have data. In the future, this kind of world is very close to us, and this is speeding up each day. Of course, we have so much time, so for this reason, I'm making this kind of partial questions, and as our professors indicated, but the golden boys, they continue with the new breedings. Also, when there are new walnuts, that they can use less water, and you are renewing your technology. Of course,
This is a reality. Our water resources are diminishing. And second reality, everyone, let's not say everyone, there are 1,000 devices around Turkey. We see 90% excessive irrigation. This product can be walnut, plums, cherries, etc. Our purpose is to use the existing water in an optimum way. Everyone talks about, are we saving water, are we saving electricity? Definitely after the latest prices. But Professor Mehmet said trees' health is also important. If the tree requires 3 hours of irrigation, if you give the tree 8 hours of irrigation, it doesn't make any sense. It brings diseases, rot in the roots, for example. So our purpose is to make sure a walnut tree can be left to our children. And if we are able to contribute to this goal via data, we will be very happy. So you are giving lifeblood to the industry. So Hashim Bey, I will give the floor lastly because you are a member of the association. So I was in food industry in the past for 20 years. For example, people talk about walnuts. They say its smell, flavor, and aroma is really good, but its color is too dark. The professor said, especially if you use walnut in dessert making, it has to be lightly colored, and aroma might be of secondary importance. So, the harvest, cleared, washed, packaged and brought to the shelves within 72 hours. So, how do you plan this process using technology? Now the microphone is on Hakkı from Akhan Technology. Thank you. First of all, I would like to thank Walnut Growers Association for bringing us together for a panel like this. I am really honored to participate. Our company, Akhan Technology, has been doing this for the past 50 years. Our primary business is processing cereals, seeds, legumes. But we are in walnut business since for the past 5 years. To serve the industry, we are working together with our R&D department. Our company is exporting to 72 countries currently. Since our topic is walnut, I will just skip over these. Our company facilities on 110,000 square meters of area with 4,000 employees. In Walnut, we started with a cracking machine between discs 30 to 34, 36 walnut sizes. We adjust discs and crack the nuts, and then we have a machine that separates the shell from the inside. Then a selection and packaging machinery comes. After these processes, we receive requests to do other processes after harvest. So we got into walnut cracking, washing, etc. processes. If the walnut is collected automatically, there might be branches, stones inside them. We have machines that separates those, and then we have washing machines, green peel removing machines, and then we have drying machines. After those processes, you can see on the video on the screen. And after drying, they are sized, and if requested, we can package the product in 5, 10, 15, 20 kilograms of packages, and we are trying to serve the industry as much as we can. So when it comes to managing the processes using technology, how does it affect your losses in processes, especially not being able to deliver the product in 72 hours, the losses? Do you have any statistics, measured numbers? I don't know if there are any measured numbers, but our machines are machines that ensure the losses are at a minimum. Every field, according to their yields and size, they a project implemented for that field, 100, 250, 1000, etc. The cars R&D department designed special project for these fields, and in this project, drying, peeling, cracking times are calculated, etc. Each and every walnut garden is special for us, and we create tailor-made solutions for each producers. Because we do this because we want to remove all the potential losses. That's why we create customized solutions for every walnut garden. So you are also providing a personalized efficiency process. Yes, we have to analyze this in depth. For example, if a garden needs 2 dryers, we don't want to give them 8 dryers. With the highest efficiency, of course, our machines are not small-scale machines. For example, a cracking machine, for example, requires at least 1,000 tons per hour, and peeling, drying, it's minimum 2,000 tons. These are continuous systems. They are continually gathered from the field. There's a pit, we call treme pit, and from there we send the product to the relevant hut, and it's the relevant line. It enters the facility, and on the other side of the facility we can receive the packaged product. Thank you very much. I guess you will say the last word, Haşim Bey, from Avrupa Tarım, Haşim Can Yazıcıoğlu.
Şimdi tarımın tabii en büyük problemleri sizler inanılmaz yatırımlar yapıyorsunuz.
Greatest problems of agriculture, you make a large investment and you have to wait for 10 years for a return. And we know from harvest to our mouth, we are wasting 1 bite out of every 2 bites, and this is unbelievable. Forgive my words, but it is a disrespect to the whole process. The loss, the waste in agriculture is between 2% 6%. I am sure it's similar in walnut. When you consider the whole world, it's an amazing number, and it might eat into your profits. So, how do you manage the harvest using technology to prevent this loss and improve efficiency? Can you give us a few tips? I am not an agriculture engineer. I am a civil engineer, construction engineer, but with my engineering background, I try to learn the business and try to develop solutions. In my opinion, a walnut garden is like this. You receive fertilizer, you catalyze it via the trees, and you obtain walnut. This is the whole process. There is a material supplied. It enters into the trees and exits the tree as walnut. When you look at this like that, you can see the bigger picture. And this is the same way I see the technology. There are 3 different types. Mechanized technology, we have theoretical updating, and we also have data collection technology. In fact, mechanized technology gives us opportunity to process 1,000 trees instead of one trees. And on the other hand, data technology and theoretical updating are integrated, and they increase our yield and efficiency. One increases scale, one increases the efficiency. So I would like to separate the kinds of technology into these categories. In our situations, training, studies, presentations, we go into the details and explain all of those to all of our members, but we have limited time here, so I will minimize. So think about it. If you have one tree, it would have been very easy to manage it. You could have planted it anywhere you want, any soil you want. You could easily irrigate that. You could prune it the way you want, yield, dry the product by hand, and sell it. Our goal is to be able to care for 50,000, 100,000 trees with the same level of care that we can give to a single tree. So how can we do it? Data is really important. We talked about WGAT, the technology they have created, the advantages of their technology. In previous panel, I said I'm from Rize. Rize license plate number is 53. We mapped all our field, and we have divided our field into 53 different soil types. It's a coincidence, license number of research. So we have to manage 53 different fields, requirements, methods, and the methods we use for harvesting, they are different. Therefore, to be able to efficiently manage this, the only weapon we have is technology. And the better we use the technology, the better we are in terms of water resources, energy resources, workforce, time, etc. It gives us opportunity to save from everything. The more technology you have, the larger field you can manage. You asked about harvest. We have around 50,000 trees now. Now only 20,000 of them are giving fruits. We are a young field. Our oldest tree is 7 years old, and we are using mechanized harvest. Think about it. We have 400 acres of fields. If you have 20 days with a certain level of workforce, you can harvest this. However, if it's rainy, if during the harvest, if you require 7 days, first of all, you might have problems finding that workforce. And especially for the Trakya region, the biggest problem is to bring 300 people to that field. If you brought 300 people, if you are not able to bring the same 300 people the next day, you lose efficiency. You have to explain again. So we cannot do this. So what do? We are trying to mechanize. You have seen these harvest machines. I really like playing with them. They are really beautiful machines, and it's really fun to sit in and spend time. But just purchasing them and bringing them to the field, it's not enough. We have to prepare your field for this mechanization. We go back to the planning topic of the previous panel. If you have very inclined, if you have a field with high inclination, your mechanization would be limited. If you don't prepare your soil properly, you will be limited in terms of mechanization. Each limit in front of you, unfortunately, will affect your growth capacity. It will affect your efficiency. Briefly, that's it. I guess we have used our time efficiently. We still have time. But I'll ask you a question. I'm sure there are soon to be investors, and the world is discussing new economic road ports, etc. They will change, especially after the last summer. And we know logistic planning and location selection has a great impact on efficiency and success. So, simulating the climate crisis in the future, what do you think for the future? Where should we invest in? You should invest in these locations, for example. Do we have a plan like this as an association? Because costs are really important. Ömer Bey says something on this. Every single walnut that we do not import is a step towards reducing carbon footprint. I like this saying. Walnut is consumed everywhere around Turkey. Yes, maybe in the southeastern Anatolia they use it more in desserts, but they are used also in olive oil dishes in the Aegean region. In Marmara, we eat dried walnut while watching a football game, for example. So, let me put it this way: when you are selecting a place for your field, there are a few data points. First of all, you should be able to go there frequently, so that you can gather the experience to solve the problems. Second, availability of water. Think about it. Until 10 days ago in California, they used to use flood irrigation. Now then they use drop irrigation, etc. So this will continue. This trend will continue, but we are adapting to this system. Other than that, if you establish your field near other walnut fields, this will be advantageous because you will be able to use other fields as pollinators, and you can harvest earlier. This is an advantage. And to reduce the investment cost, if there is a different walnut plantation and processing plantation near your future field, your investment costs reduce further because you do not have to invest in this once again. And this provides efficiency in many ways for you, especially for new investors. I think this is something to keep in mind. This is grouping methods. Yes, you talk about this to your members as an association. Yes, we explain them, we do webinars, we organize training days, and other than that, we try to tell you about our associations via the conferences like this. We invite guests that might inspire you, but we talk about these every day. We try to stay up to date, and if you listen to our association, we will be very happy. We have a tiny amount of time. Maybe do you want to add something with a final sentence? I am saying this to all our guests. I skipped something about the machines. As I said, our machines are high capacity. So those are not geared towards small plantations. However, I talked to a few people, and they said, do we have government support? Yes, we had a European Union project, and we have received 50% grant, and we have also received VAT support. It's advantageous in that sense. If a couple of plantations can get together in a cooperation, and they can establish lowest capacity lines, and it will solve their problems. 50 acres, 100 acres are having problems in small machines, but in our machines, if you group 50 acre, 100 acre plantations together, they can process their products in a very short time, and they will reduce their costs. Gökçe Bey, I would like to add something. I didn't have time to talk about it. We are a local company. We are controlling everything end to end, and we wanted to radically change the soil. We provide our devices and services with a subscription. And we saw that without being California, with simple investments, with managing our water better, we can save our budget. This is the summary. Thank you very much, Federico.
In line with what Hasinjan mentioned about the use of technology, so I was thinking something that sometimes we forget when we are talking about the use of the technology. Actually, the history of the orchards is a continuous way of using technology. So the first walnuts were produced on isolated trees. Then we applied the technology for planting more dense. Then we realized that we couldn't take the walnuts because the walnuts were very big. Then we planted a little bit more dense. Then we realized that the production was low. We understood that we were needing extra pollen. We planted pollinators. And then doing everything manually was very, very complicated and difficult. Then we started using tractors. So actually, in general, the history of the agriculture is the history of the use of the technology. And now the technology is a little bit more sophisticated, but it's the same application of the technology. And I also would like to tell something about something that I think we didn't talk about in the meeting today, and it's not very much related with the technology, but it's something that I think is very important for you as Turkish growers. I think you have to be working on the quality parameters. Okay, the standardization basically try to categorize the walnuts according to external parameters: size, color, kernel percentage, shell hardness, etc. There is, I think, a long way in front of us about the characterization of sensorial parameters, characterization of phenolic compounds parameters, antioxidant parameters. This is also going to be a source of new consumption. Okay, probably the reason why wine now is not a very good investment. Well, maybe Alessandro doesn't think the same, but wine is not a good investment is because, okay, wine is not exactly related with healthy habits, but eating walnuts is very much. So I think if we want to really support our arguments, we have the possibility, because walnut is a fantastic fantastic fruit, and the characteristics of the European in general, the European or the less intensive production compared to the American standards in terms of drying, producing, can apport to the walnuts some particularities that can be very appreciated, basically from now on. Okay? I just wanted to tell you.
Thank you very much. Federico'ya da teşekkür ediyoruz. Evet.
Thank you, Federico. It's a long journey, actually. Today we talk about this valuable job done by the hard to crack nuts. So we are studying as climate change, and we are trying to achieve some sustainability to be able to eat walnut here. So I think we have to aim for a sane agriculture. And all speakers talked about technological integration in their area. Thank you very much. And I hope agriculture will have metrics, and you will reach your desired goals. Thank you very much. I would like to thank Mina Hanım for the moderation, and I would like to thank our panelists. Fourth and last panel will we will continue with that. So a 5-minute break, then we will continue with the fourth panel.
Telefon.
güneş doğmadan kalkar. Tarla sürer tohum atar, bakar besler korur kollar, doğrusu için çabalar. Rastgeleler yola çıkar, olta sallar ağ atar, teker kopar hava patlar, pes etmez o işini yapar. Doğru balığı arar, doğru yumurtayı toplar, lezzetini onaylar, doğrusunu yükler yollar.
İşini doğru yapmak, doğru insanlarla çalışmakla başlar. Carrefour'sa etin, sebzenin, yumurtanın, balığın en doğrusuna ulaşmak, onu herkese ulaştırmak için var.
Doğrusu Carrefour'sa da, doğruca Carrefour'sa ya.
Kısa bir aranın ardından biraz soluklandık ve dördüncü ve son panelimizle artık günü yavaş yavaş
Now we are closing today with our last session, with our last panel, and we have been together with all these panels starting from the early hours of the day. And every beautiful thing has an end, and this beautiful day will have an end. So we spoke about the production, marketing, and technology, and we mentioned about many important things. But now we are going to speak about the brand in walnut cultivation, marketing processes, marketing and sales methods, e-commerce and retail sales strategies. Now we will have Murat Dinçer, Özkan Çokaygil, Kaan Baral, and Ali Toker. They are kindly invited to the floor for this part of the day. So we have around 45 minutes, and now we are leaving floor to Ms. Ayşegül. I want to say hello to everyone. So thanks for staying with us until this late hours and not leaving us alone. And first of all, I want to thank to the co-chair of the Walnut Association, and also to the members of the association, and to all the persons contributing to the organization. This is the last session, but it's an exciting part. I'm a professor in the Bosphorus University, and my topics are digital marketing and e-commerce. And when this panel is offered to me, I was so much excited, and I did many research on the walnuts regarding walnut issue, and then today was very informative for me, and I'm going to also introduce the panelists to you. My first question is to Mr. Kaan Baral, and he used to work as the CEO of the Payman, and then I'm going to make some questions about the Payman also, and I'm going to make these questions. Payman, as you know, is an important Turkish brand in dried fruit sector, and they are also making exports. And according to the information that I took from their websites, and they are the market leader in dried fruits in Turkey with their product called Bahçeden. My question to Mr. Khan is that the healthy snack category, both globally and in Turkey, and both on nuts and walnut, we would like to hear if there are changing consumer trends, and also as Payman, what they did in order to grow this market, because they are the places where we can sell our products. So this is an important thing. Let's start with you, Mr. Khan. First of all, I want to thank to all the organizers, to the co-chair of the Walnut Growers Association, to the board of directors. In the final 3 years, I am so much inside this sector, and this is the first time event in the dried fruits and nuts category, and this is an event which is organized by a very new association and where all the manufacturers are participating. And I would like to thank for the participation, and the time was passed so fast. I will try to respond to your questions very fastly without boring you. First of all, I am working in the FMCG sector since 25 years, and in the final 3 years I am acting as the CEO of Payman. Payman today is, as you know, our sector is a commodity sector. So, and Payman is a brand, is a dried fruit brand which has achieved the branding, and now we have the brand, for example, the Kare Şimşek brand, and also we have realized the sale of our company by growing our company, and it's a success for us doing this exit. Also by increasing our market share, and regarding the branding, it's a very exciting issue. Now I'm going to speak the nuts and walnuts and also some information about other markets and healthy snacks, and the dried fruits and dried nuts are very popular in many areas. For example, we have worked with Professor Murat Baş, and all the time we are positioning that as a healthy snack. Then we have some bars and dried nuts bars and some active products inside those bars, and all the members and all the directors that are inside this hall, for them I can say that we are in the right market. Of course, we are talking about many problems. We speak about China, we speak about quality and yield, etc., and branding, and then, but when we look from the macro position, we are in the right place because this is a growing sector. And for this reason, the biggest reason for us to sell Payman is the fact that it's a company which is growing above average. And in the market, there are packaged dried fruits and non-packaged and open dried fruits, and it's around 1 to 4. And regarding the walnut, this proportion can change because the walnut is being also in use in the confectionery, and in Turkey it is being consumed as 140,000 tons of walnut, and then the open market is 460,000 tons of market, and we are talking about a dried fruit and dry nuts market of 600,000 tons, and then it's per capita consumption of dried fruits and dried nuts is 29 kilogram, and we are in the second or third position in the world. We have there's Brazil, USA, and us. And if you look to the walnut, the packaged, the private label products, Payman, Tadım, sales is around 5,600 tons of market, and I'm talking about open walnuts. So, and also totally the kernel market in Turkey is around 40,000 tons, and when it's 90,000 tons with shells. And also your figures are different, and the data coming from the state is very different, but the number that we are getting from Nielsen are different. So, but if you look to the market, each product has a value, and then now the biggest part of this market is formed by kernels, by seeds. And when we speak about the walnut, we can speak that walnut is a friend of heart, is a friend of veins. It has it contains omega-3, omega-6, and it's good for the heart health. And today is the cardiology day, World Cardiology Day. It is a coincidence. I don't know if you did it by planning, but there's a coincidence. And now here, now when we look to the market and other healthy snacks, the dried fruits and dried nuts produced in Turkey are divided into three. The first one, the products that are consumed a lot, and the ones that are so much imported. For example, the hazelnut, and then dried grapes, and then we have also dried other dried fruits, just like apricot. And then there are the products which are not so much exported, but it is totally coming from Turkey, and it's the pistachio. And the whole pistachio production is consumed in Turkey, and it is not so much exported. And also we have other products, for example, just like roasted chickpeas, but we are importing walnuts and almonds, and this is a good conference which is talking this important issue of importing all these important products. Thanks for your intervention. Also, we have among our panelists, we have Carrefour'sa, Mr. Murat Dinçer. He is the co-CEO of Carrefour'sa. And also we have Mr. Özkan from Trendyol, which is an e-commerce company. And now I'm going to speak first with the traditional marketing channel. I want to start with Murat, and Mr. Murat has very interesting walnut stories in their Carrefour markets. For example, in their markets they have also walnut which is sold as unpackaged product in the grocery area, and they are able also to contact with the consumer right over there. And while the clients are buying this walnut with shells from your market, what are the experiences? And also, if you can tell us about your journey to sell this walnut with shells in your markets. Thank you. Regarding the placement of the walnut on the retail, until 2010, only the kernels were sold, and the shelled walnuts were not so much sold in the groceries. But after 2010, with the concept of the health, with the with the higher consciousness of the consumer and awareness of the consumer, we started to think how to sell the walnuts, and then the customer expect, as Carrefour tells in its motto, the right product at right quality at right price. So it has to have an accessible price, and its quality has to have a quality which can respond to their habits. Should be easily breakable. So this walnut can be breakable easily. Can be internal structure must be white. There are some practical criteria. It should be also separated from the shell easily. And starting from at this point, we ask ourselves at what price can we sell. So yearly 50 tons or 80 tons, especially, these were not things that would satisfy us, but we started to analyze, and in 2016 we sold around 2,000 tons of walnuts in bulk in our supermarkets. And this is an advantage and disadvantage. Of course, the customer have it. The customer wants to touch the product and wants to taste them, and then so we have collected so many shells on the ground, so they want to eat it. And but I think that we have created a good market, and then also the sales prices now are okay, and the customers are accessing better, and it is the trend is not it's not the same, but the walnut with shell is a very important product for us. And what is the price per kilogram? It's around 65 Turkish liras. It was 20 liras last year. It was around 20-25 liras. Today is 60-65 liras. And for this reason, the consumers are right to lower their consumption. Yes, you are right in this issue. You mentioned rightly. As a matter of fact, some certain things we are trying to test some certain things, and we wanted to be, for example, sometimes the walnuts under standard was in our shops, and the customer reacted a lot. But we do not claim that we are selling the highest quality walnut. We claim that it should be an accessible priced product, and that this price can be sustainable. But the biggest problem in here, as Mr. Khan indicated, also there are so many imported walnuts are inside Turkey, are circulating inside Turkey. Of course, our target is to sell the Turkish domestic producers, growers products, and our priority is all the time the domestic growers. And today also we are buying domestic products, but the consumers are taking care of the quality. But we can also take some questions because there's no other panel after us. And so, Mr. Özcan, can you speak us about the marketplaces And while making these preparations for this panel, I get into Trendyol, and I wrote down Walnut, and then there were so many sellers over there, dried fruit sellers. It's a marketplace. Trendyol is an e-commerce marketplace, and during the pandemic, the e-commerce was so important. Maybe you can speak us about the marketplace model to us, and also what should be done in order to sell directly the walnut in this marketplace. For example, the consumers over there in the e-commerce, the consumer over there is a little bit different. They take care about different issues, and you have big sales data, who bought what, and so you have all this data, and you are able to convert all this to customer insights. And maybe you can say that, for example, the walnut buyers, for example, are buying some, for example, uh, toys, for example. For example, it's a funny example, but yeah, you can create this kind of relationships. And then if you listen today from all these stories, trees, labor, patience, hard work, for this reason, we would like to extend our respect to the walnut growers as Trendyol, because you are doing a great job, and we hopefully give you more support. And if we speak about the marketplace logic, in the previous panel, you mentioned about mentioned about the technology, and then after this, now this is another technology, and we are providing a digital platform and infrastructure to you. And in the marketplace, you can start your shop in 15 minutes. You can place your products, and you can place the photographs, and you can start afterwards the sale. And as Trendyol, what we are doing here, we have 25 millions of customers that are shopping from us, and we start to present to them, and also we are analyzing that they can buy this product or that product, and we are doing some special campaigns during the campaign periods, and we are trying to offer your products to the consumers. And while doing that, we are opening up a panel for you, and you upload your products, you manage your orders, you manage your financial processes, how much sales you did, how much shipment expenses are done, what kind of comments are done by your customers, and what are the mostly sold products in Trendyol, when they are sold, how much they are sold, how much likings are taken by your products. And then sometimes the consumers, they warn us in order to let them know when there is a campaign, and we are sharing all the data with you, and we are enabling you to manage your sales and your products through the panel. So we at Trendyol, we don't store the products, but you are pricing and you are storing the product, and then we convey these products to the consumers. Of course, e-commerce is developing a lot, and also it has been so much, it gained so much importance during the pandemic. And what are the expectations of the consumers, and how the consumers can come more frequently to e-commerce for doing their shoppings. So, but there are so many headings like this, But firstly, the consumers, they want to compare the products, the price and the quality of the product. They want to compare them. And the consumer all the time, they don't prefer all the time the cheapest product, but they prefer to buy the products which can cover the value of their payments. And especially the pandemic taught us the time management, and people want to lower to a minimum their time that they spend for shopping in order to reserve more time to their families and to their jobs and to their business by managing their time better. And the third one are the comments done by other consumers, and they can see the experiences of other consumers. For example, the ones that who bought this product, they have been so much happy with this product, and then the money spent to this is a good thing. And then based on this data, we are trying to give you some insights, and so also we share the expectations of the value given by the consumers. Of course, the producers now are so much excited about this e-commerce channels. These are the new trends, and the consumers, they have changed some buying habits. Also, I did. As the member of the as a member of the association, I'm going to make a very short question to Mr. Ömer Toker. There are so many different channels where the walnut can be sold, and for example, the dry nut sellers, for example, they are not present all around in other countries, but Mr. Ali Toker can speak us about other channels, and they.
Thank you, Ayşegül. I'm founder partner of Critical Farm, Ali Toker. So with my dear 10 friends, we decided to invest into walnut. After some research, at the time, for the past 10 years, we looked at calculations in Excel. We had limited amount of money. Where could we invest that can provide income when we are retired? So we have seen it in time and experience, just like many of you. So when you take a look at the investment, we invested $2.5 million. But in the market, I am 1% of our association. Now $250 million, 250 million dollar investment in total we can talk about. So Typhoon Bay is a cooperative. We have around 80 members. On an average, $3 million was invested. Maximum is probably $10-15 million. So until today, many factors didn't surprise us with regard to cost. The costs were just as expected or a little bit higher. At that time, the income part, the prices, had a negative trend. Since morning, we have been talking about difficulties in walnut economy around the world, the danger of China, and the danger of climate change. We have to invest more our yield will decrease, and we have to use correct nutrition product. We have to invest in technology. So when we take a look at the trend, in the coming period, our costs will increase and our prices, selling prices will decrease. This is the picture. Yusuf Bey talked about it. He said yield, efficiency, fertility, and he said even if you have the land for free, if you get 500 kilograms per decade, stop it, don't do it. California does more than 700 kilograms per decade. We have to invest and go to that level. So how are we going to do this? I am coming to the channel, but there's a traditional saying: tomato is 1 Turkish liras in field, and I buy it for 10 Turkish liras. The middleman. I know it from my retail experience. We have partners among the greatest middlemen in Walnut. They are our current business partners, wholesalers. I always say we have to respect the middlemen because they are bringing value. If we create an organization to redirect that added value to ourselves, we can take some share from that. And in the past year, Ömer Bey also said investment in Walnut has increased. First fruit is in 5 years. Full capacity is 10 years. So the producers in this hall, our focus is in good production of this product. Our capacity is increased and prices decreased, so we have focused somewhere else. So we focused on how we can increase our added value from sales, and it's natural. It's natural. Like as a result of our research, if we can do better than our middlemen in certain channels, we will do it. If the investment doesn't cover, we will continue to work with the middleman. But the purpose of this conference was to understand the market. What do the consumer expect? Do they want white, etc.? So we have to understand the consumer better. Then we have valuable representatives of Carrefour and Trendyol. So what do our channel want from us? How can I negotiate with Murat Bey, and they will have a profit margin, of course. So I have to think what I can do. So you asked about channels. Let me come to there. Is B2B. We have limited information about, for example, baklava makers, traditional Turkish dessert makers. So walnut kernels sold in packaging, and we also have dried nut shops. So we have to understand the dried nut, dried fruit shops, professional dessert makers, products requirements, price expectations, margin expectations, etc. After seeing the bigger picture, maybe we can determine the highest added value section of the market and collaborate and target that. Maybe move on to those channels and move towards that way in time. I hope I didn't go over my time. Since I know Ali, I forgot to introduce him. You might have noticed our last name. We are cousins, and we are in the second round. Maybe we can get questions from you. Peyman, especially from the Bahçeden brand. With the Bahçeden brand, they invested a lot, and they say on their website they are talking about improving consumer literacy with text behind the pack, etc. Creating a brand is not easy, and they were certified by True Quality for export. So I'm trying to say this. I'm trying to say that their brand value is really high. So when they're going home, the people here should be able to bring with them a sort of a tip. So it's really hard to differentiate yourself when it comes to agriculture. So what do you have to say to our valued walnut producers, walnut growers? So when you talk about branding, it sounds nice. However, you have to have a very strategical approach. And you have to ask certain right questions and have to find right answers. When we say branding, I will give a few examples from our experience. You have to answer certain questions first of all. When you say branding in Walnut, who will be the brand? What will be the brand? This is the largest question. Will it be the Turkish walnut, or will it be the Walnut Growers Association? As Cemre Dostlu said, Grana Parma, Italy example. In Toscana region, there's a rooster logo. If you have the rooster logo, this Toscana wine is approved by that association. It's a good wine, etc. Are we going to brand the Walnut Growers Association, or are we going to brand Nazım Bey himself with his 3,000 acres of walnut orchard? First of all, you have to answer this question. This is where it starts. Then we have to answer other questions. What do the consumer expect from walnut? Here, companies that purchase walnut, retailers, dried fruit stores, dried fruit chains, or Metro Bitfood, Geykem, who provide walnut to professional companies. There are companies such as Tadım, Peyman, who package these and sell. What do these people expect? What do consumers expect? What is the level of literacy about walnut of the consumers? What do they expect? What do they know? We researched and we found out that there was a lot of difference between what we thought and what the consumers thought. And the greatest added value of branding is to be able to bring the product from farm to the consumer. This is really difficult. We had a sunflower seed branded Kara Şimşek, and when we realized it for the first time, the product was produced in Mongolia region of China. The 361, 363 are two different kites. We brought 363, which has lots of oils, fats. It's higher quality. So we realized that it's not feasible due to dollar exchange rate, and we started a contract agriculture movement, and we had the largest agriculture contract, and we started Kara Şimşek production, and we made Kara Şimşek into a brand. This is an example. However, we have to understand something really well. One, right map, right compass towards branding. What is this? It has different pillars. One, what's the supply? What's the quality balance within this supply? What's the specifications of quality? You sell mainly walnut kernels, And every private label company, package company, they have a spec, they have a specification, specified quality. There are many criteria, mainly they are physical, sensory criteria, smell, taste, the color of the inside, the amount of moisture, size, infection criteria, aflatoxin, chemical properties like peroxide, microbiological processes. You have to understand all of these really well, so that we can know where we are going to be a brand. Are we going to be able to supply enough volume? If we are, where are we going to go from there? It's really important. And most important topic in this roadmap is to create a concept that is focused on consumers and that can be understood by the consumers, and that aligns with the expectations and concepts of the consumer. Of course, it's related to the initial questions. Who are we going to brand? So you have to devise a strategic approach to differentiate that. I agree with Ali Bey. If producers go on this way individually, it wouldn't be anything more than a wish, in my opinion, because Peyman, Tadım, Carrefour, they want to purchase the same product with the same volume, with the same quality. Because when I sell a Bahçeden brand Walnut, I'm trying to make sure that consumers get the same product out of every package, so that 500 tons, 1,000 tons, 1,500 tons, I have to procure them in the beginning of the year. As I said, being a group in branding and moving together as a group is really important. Most important examples in Turkey is seared peanut. They have a seared peanut growers cooperative, and they also work together with the government. They are also managed by the governor. Farmers got together, and their literacy, naturally, financial literacy is really low, and this is a really successful organization that protects them. And seed peanut is more expensive than Antep peanut by 10-15%. As I said, asking right questions, understanding what to brand, and to devise a roadmap and compass for this, to understand supply, specifications and quality, and to create added value. This is really difficult and important, because in increased competition in the commodity market, in the increased price competition, adding value to increase income, I think this should be one of the first priorities. Thank you very much for this information. Since we are channel representatives, I want to ask questions like this. Ali Bey is here. Let's use his brand, Trege Farm brand. If you, for selling Trege Farm branded walnuts, what would you expect from Ali Bey? What would your criteria be? First of all, we talked about this with Ali Bey in detail. We have only one thing. for how much we can sell it. Other than that, retailer revenue premiums, entrance fees, etc. It's not about like that. When it comes to agricultural products that have the potential to create high volume sales, in these, the only thing that I'm interested in is the price I purchase and the price I sell. We don't want anything else to support or prohibit the sales of the product. I think it's really clear, loud and clear. But the most important topic here is that for how much are we going to sell? How much can a customer pay for this? And the second important issue is where are we going to sell it? Because you cannot sell all products everywhere because we have 831 branches. We are in 43 cities, therefore it's impossible to sell all the products everywhere. So we have to choose right locations and right customer profiles. Making this selection, and after making the selection, positioning your products correctly in terms of quality and price. And it should be approachable by the customer. In my opinion, to enjoy our commercial relationship, I don't enjoy having the product on a shelf. I enjoy when we sell that product and sell more of them and more of them. I think we should focus on this. I think it's not sustainable just saying I have products in Carrefour. So we have to focus on how we can sell this, especially from our growers, producers, local producers and suppliers. This is our greatest expectation. Thank you very much. Maybe social responsibility projects supporting local producers, etc. I know Carrefour is really sensitive in these areas. Maybe within scope of that project, maybe in Trakya region, you can supply Ali-based brand. We have a few guests. We have to ask a few questions. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Habit of a teacher. Özkan Bey, let's continue with you. You have given us a few tips, but you have seller support programs, advertisement support programs, and you talked about development, direct export. Please talk about that. Talk about other marketplaces. This information might be really exciting for you. On the branding side, in e-commerce, we have two options. One, invest a certain amount and create your own website and sell via your own brand. But the cost of this is a little bit high, and because you're investing in technology, and technology is becoming a costly investment, hardware, software, logistic operations, etc. You have to manage many operations. This is a preference. This is an option. You can do it, your own brand, your own website. But to ensure that this investment is efficient, you have to receive a serious amount of traffic to your website. What's your alternative? Your alternative is Trendyol and similar marketplace websites. Because what do these sites do? They are already reaching the customers via their own brand. And they also provide opportunities to the sellers to create their own brands within Trendyol. For example, I mentioned the control panel. We have a store management section there. When a consumer writes Walnut in the search bar, they can see thousands of sellers. But when they write your own brand, they can go to your own store in Trendyol. Or when they see hundreds of Walnut sellers in the search, In the detail part, we list this sellers of the product. They can come to your shop via that link. So what's the difference? Your shop is a small Trendyol. You have categories, contents, campaigns. You manage everything about your own shop within Trendyol, and you can get followers for your shop within Trendyol, and you can communicate with the followers via campaigns. So when you look at e-commerce business, especially on the marketplace side, marketplace's own brand brings customers into the platform, and your brands inside the marketplace ensure repeated purchase of the consumer will choose your brand. To strengthen the brand, again inside the panel, you are able to do your own campaigns. For example, if you purchase 1 kilogram of walnut, 10% discount. If you purchase 2 kilograms, 250 grams is gift, or different promotional materials. And when you create these promotional materials, it's announced to the consumers via Trendyol. And inside digital marketing, there is a concept called influencer, which is very effective. They introduce products via social media, and they can really bring the product to a whole another level, to a really high sales volumes. And we have more than 20,000 influencers with Trendyol, and we can help you to promote your product via these influencers. So what do we expect? What do consumers expect in line with Trendyol's expectations? The consumer expects that the images and descriptions of the product and the received product has to be exactly the same. I don't know technical properties of walnut, but if you say it's a light color, the consumer expects a light colored walnut. And second fundamental expectation is that they receive it quickly. So if you are doing e-commerce, you have a pre-packaged stock. You cannot say when the order arrives, I will package it then, or I will send this package with tomorrow's order, etc. You cannot do this because it doesn't satisfy the expectations of the consumers. So the consumers will not come back to you for repeat purchases. One nice property of e-commerce, especially on the marketplace side, is that Ali Bey mentioned large investment. So your sales and marketing expenses come later. Advertisements, investment in technology, it's setting up hardware, etc. This is done by the marketplace and provided to you. You put your product there, and this cost is paid when you sell a product. If you don't sell anything, you don't pay for anything. So you can think of this as an additional budget. You can invest instead of packaging, branding, etc. And sales advertisement costs will be covered by Trendyol. Thank you very much. They say you ran out of time. Please conclude. So I have to ask last question to Ali. Can you just summarize, especially 4 P's of marketing is important? And let me add the 5th one, people, P, product, channel, advertisement, price. Thank you very much. When I first started in this industry, it seemed complicated to me. Maybe this session seemed also complicated, so let me try to summarize and frame this. It seems that we will focus on sales and marketing individually and together. So what we have to do is to understand the consumer and divide them into different segments. Walnut is 65 Turkish liras in Carrefour, and Yusuf Bey reacted to that. It's natural. There are some people who bought that product. There are different price and quality segments in shoes, bags, cars, and maybe they are not aware of the existence of an alternative to the consumers. So we have to understand the consumers and learn their expectations. If there is something that we have to show them they don't know about, we have to show it. Let's put it aside, put the facts of putting consumers into segments aside. My professor said 4 P's. What we have to do is we should understand what consumers expect. We do not have nut cracking machines. We still sell our walnuts with their shells, but payment request is the kernel. For example, there is a request for this type of product, so we have to understand which product should be produced for which customer segment. So we have to structure in order to provide that product. So Carrefour shelves cannot be empty even for a day. So what kind of product should I produce? Via which channel, at what price am I going to give it to the consumer? Some maybe I will sell at Carrefour Gourmet. For example, it's a really wonderful walnut. Or maybe some will be sold in Carrefour Mini or Shock markets. Different products can be presented via different channels at different prices. When I'm talking about brand, people always think about advertisements and announcements. So we didn't talk about that because if you do not create the right strategy, all the money you spend on advertisement is thrown into the garbage. You can sell directly. I am selling directly. It costs a lot. It has a lot of complexity. So I have to analyze the margin. Does it cover my expenses, etc. So we spend all this money to grow our trees and to increase our yields. Maybe we have to spend this amount of money on planning and creating a brand. So it's not up to my single orchard. So maybe we should devise a strategy. Are we going to do this as individual orchards, or are we going to do this as an association? Are we going to come up with a Walnut Growers Association brand? So these are the decisions that we have to make in the future about branding. I hope this will be a beginning for the future. Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I agree. This panel might be a beginning. This was a nice summary. Maybe one of the topics that the association should focus is this. So, Ömer Bey, let's take a question, please. Four different channels and the most important channels. But I am thinking while I'm listening to you, all of us, as Ali Bey said, we are shelled walnut producers. None of us currently, not none of us, but 95%, 99% of us do not have walnut cracking and packaging facilities. Maybe we will have in the near future. But can we be a brand with just walnut? When I take a look at Europe, I see a brand in Europe, Seeberger. I don't know if I pronounce it correctly. You see it in Spain, Germany, Austria, Belgium. But when you look at Seeberger, or when you look at Peyman or Tadım, or maybe when you look at the new Masternut, these are brands that are under many SKUs. As a single walnut brand, I cannot see many brands, Tragaya Farm or My Ceviz or Hashimcan Bey, and you sell walnut via our website, and it's a sort of brand. But while thinking about all of this, walnut is a commodity because US determines the prices. We focus on US hazelnut, raisins, etc. It's not like that. We are not the number one player in the world. We always listen to US, China, etc. So how can we become a strong brand with just walnut? Gentleman also talked about retail price in Carrefour. The day before it was 75 Turkish liras in BİM, or it was about to go up to 75. So we are talking about the amount that we want to sell at. So let's sell at 60 liras. But if you sell at 40, 50 liras, how can we become a brand with input costs, etc.? Of course, Tadın Peyman has been in this market for many years. You sell them in packages of 120, 140 grams. And Y and Z generations have different habits. I spent time in supermarkets. When people take the package, they purchase the package. The people that purchase the packages are middle-aged or older. Young people go to Kara Şimşek or Kara Sevda. In fruit and in vegetable industry, the ones who purchase shelled walnuts are middle-aged and older. I don't see 17 years old purchasing shelled walnuts. So, considering all these, what kind of a brand should we be? What should we think about? Or should we focus on B2B chain dried food stores, or maybe if our prices are acceptable to Carrefour, if we agree on price, etc. Branding is not easy. I completely agree with Ali Bey. Instead of individually following this, we have to move as an association. But this branding is not easy. Is it? I'm sorry, it's a little long. Who wants to answer? If you want, let me answer. Ömer Bey, as you said, it's a really long journey and it's really not easy. And if you ask me, can you become a brand with a single product? Let me give you an example. Yes, İzzet Bey. İzzet Bey, Antep Pistachio, and they became a brand and they have a serious market share. And we can see international examples. Haribo, gummy bears. With just gummy bears, they became world brand. The Red Bull, they became a global brand with a single brand. But if you ask Turkey and walnuts, you have to determine some criteria. As I said, what are you going to brand? And while branding that, what will be the total supply? What will be the strategic roadmap? What will be your compass? What am I going to sell to which channel, and how am I going to create added value? I'm selling Kara Şimşek 60 liras per kilogram today. If you go to the dried fruit shop, you can purchase 25 liras. I would like to support you right here. We talked about prices in Carrefour. Carrefour, Migros, I guess the prices are similar. 2 weeks ago, harvest started today. 2 weeks ago, I started pre-sales. It's a small example, but it's my example I would like to give you. Until now, we received 5 tons of pre-sales. Our price is 120 Turkish liras. I'm trying to tell this. We have been working for the past 2 years, and in my opinion, and many people here are the same. The difference between the quality of your product and the quality of the product in Migros, people are aware of it. The price in Migros is 65 liras there, but 120 liras they order 4 kilos, 2 kilos, 5 kilos. This is a small amount maybe, but I have limited means, limited advertisement. Maybe if our association does something like that, if we are able to produce at a certain quality and determine the standards, no one in Turkey is aware of the standards. What's the quality of the product in Migros? Fifth quality, fourth quality. We have to find an independent organization for quality control. I would like an audit mechanism in our association, and I would like to have standards determined. In Levent kuru yemiş, it's 140 Turkish liras. I'm sure many of your products are better than the products sold at Levent kuru yemiş. So we have to focus on that side. If we are able to put effort in branding as much as we put to our orchard, I think it will be valuable, because I see that I can provide added value to my limited number of customers and the sales increases. If you Google walnut prices, branding, added value, etc., you can find shelled walnut for 50 Turkish liras. You can find 120 Turkish liras. In kernel, you have 200 Turkish liras and 350 Turkish liras. The scale is really wide. The only reason is that there is no qualification, there is no standard, there is no approval. How can we establish this approval? We can do it with our product's brand. Bahçeden Walnut, it has a spec. The broken part should be lower than this, no contaminants, no aflatoxin, etc. We determined that. I give this specification. My kilogram price is 300 Turkish liras, and consumers give it. Some don't give that amount, but the ones that give the price know that when I purchase from Bahçeden Walnut, the smell, the taste, the color, it's always the same. It's standard. Trusting the brand. Yes, as I said, it's not easy, but if you determine strategy, you can easily start working. We do this to create added value in commodity. Thank you very much. We will finish the panel with the answers to these beautiful questions. I was going to say we should end here, and so we want to come to the second conference. But last question, let me ask quickly. What's your market share? Is it increasing? I am planning on investing, so first of all I would like to get information from you. Pecan nuts. It's the right topic. Pecan nuts share in Turkish nuts is really small, but its growth rate is really high. The volume grows exponentially. One price is really high, so consumption is really low. But we include this in our mixes. When we put these into our mix, we get real value. Pecan nut, I think, is a correct investment, in my opinion, humble opinion, because when it comes to competition, we purchase pecan nuts from local producers, from foreign sellers. There was 6% price difference, and we were really satisfied. Since the market is small, if you focus on pecan with local production at more affordable prices compared to other countries, it's a good idea. Tadım also uses pecan nuts in their mixes. They generally buy imported, so their mixed dried nuts price is 20% higher than ours. Bahçeden is producing a quarter of the mixed dried fruits, but in my opinion, it's a right investment, because I think it's a pricing advantage when it comes to competition with other countries. Today, Chandler type 80 gauge Californian Chilean walnut, if you want to purchase it from the local market, we are able to almost purchase the American product at the same price, because they have high yield. Even with the additional logistics costs, unfortunately, local producers are unable to compete. We try to purchase from the local markets. For example, we purchase almond, lower quality Spanish almond. We have included them in mixed nuts. Didn't cashew nuts go through the same journey? To Turkey, we don't have cashew in Turkey. No, in terms of recognition. Yes, you are right. Cashew nuts are the fastest growing dried fruit. It's unbelievable. So pecan might be right choice. You have to examine prices and feasibility. I think it's an untouched section within the walnut family.
Now let's get your question. Thanks. I would like to thank to everyone for today. I want to make a recommendation. So we spoke about many things starting from the morning, and they were so much useful for me. My name is Onat Beklük, and I'm the owner of a walnut orchard in Gelibolu. But except the final panel, so the growers, of course, I think they need to add some certain things or share some certain things. If the organization permits, I would like to offer that we can do this kind of create session for growers. I think on behalf of the association, you made a request that let's make a meeting about the questions of our members. Yes, there's a need. You have shared your information, your valuable knowledge, but we couldn't evaluate them. We couldn't make some questions. Yes, you are right. One of the important committees of ours is the training and educational committee. We did the webinars, and in the future plan, we can take in our future plans in order to give much more details regarding the issues in this conference. Thank you. Okay, we are leaving. So we would like to thank to our moderator, Ms. Ayşegül, and to our panelists. We are going to present a small plaque to Miss Ayşegül, so you can get in the middle and in order to make a photograph while our panelists are leaving. Mr. Ömer, also maybe you can do a closing speech. So thanks for staying with us until these hours. Thanks a lot, and thanks for your time, and thanks for giving this value to our conference. I would like to thank all of you.
Bu yıl ilki düzenlenen Uluslararası Ceviz Konferansı'nda başta Ceviz Üreticileri Derneği olmak üzere emeği...
So we would like to thank to everyone for contributing to this event, and we wish that this important conference gives strength to the Turkish agriculture and to the walnut growers. Thank you.